Hello and welcome to HITC Sport. Right, pretty much everyone in the Premier League's played 19 games, except for Villa, who'll be playing catch up for the rest of the time. So today I'm going to look back at who each club signed over the summer and give them a half-time rating out of 10. Arsenal 6 out of 10. When the transfer window slammed shut, it looked like Arsenal had made some strong signings, with the marquee arrival of Thomas Partey coming late in the day. Sadly though, I think the majority of Arsenal's signings have been a little bit underwhelming, but for different reasons. For Partey, he just hasn't played enough, but when he has, he's impressed, looking like the Vieira presence in midfield that Arsenal missed for years, which is pretty damning considering that Vieira left the club in 2005. Gabriel's been impressive at times, Dani Ceballos has been alright, Pablo Mari's been decent since finally getting back to fitness, while Cedric Soares has been inoffensive. I mean, he hasn't done anything wrong, he's basically been the Europa League poster boy. But Willian, dear God, what a shambles. I said a few months ago that Willian added experience, and that's literally all he's done. He's had one good game and brought the average age up. They might as well have just brought Joel Pisson Campbell back, he'd probably been just as good. Aston Villa 9.5 out of 10. It's been said all season, but the main reason Villa are doing so well is because they did some excellent business over the summer. While the signings the year before nearly didn't keep them up, the summer of 2020 nearly handed them an early title charge. Dean Smith was about to become the next Claudio Ranieri. Now he's just spending his days thinking of clever ways to call the referee a clown. All 5 of Villa's signings have impressed in different ways, but the real game changer was Ollie Watkins, who saved Villa fans from having to see Borja Baston and a Zimmer for him get a new contract. Brighton 4 out of 10. Unsurprisingly, Brighton's star signing Adam Lallana has been crippled by injuries. I mean, at this point in time I'm wondering if the only reason he moved to Brighton was because it was closer to his doctor. That and the beach, he likes to make sandcastles. While he looks tidy in possession, Lallana hasn't had the kind of impact I expected, with the Premier League winner registering just 1 assist so far. Although that might have to do with the fact that most of his chances fall to an out of form and no doubt angry Neil Maupay. Seriously, why is that guy always angry? Danny Welbeck was another free agent rival who's done okay but again struggled with injuries, but Brighton's best signing has been Joel Veltman, who's been an admirable deputy for Tariq Lamptey despite the fact he's double the size and about 3 times as slow. Burnley 1 out of 10. Burnley's summer signings were crap at the time, 19 games later they're still crap. It's a credit to Burnley that despite their marquee signing being Dale Stephens in the midst of an injury crisis, they've still managed to get so many points, including 3 at Anfield where they became the first away team to win a Premier League game there in nearly 4 years. Chelsea 3 out of 10. When I rated Chelsea's signings in the summer, I said these exact words. If they can improve defensively, this is going to be a very good year for Frank Lampard's side, or if they don't, he'll get the sack. Simple as that. Well, 19 games in, and Frank Lampard's getting closer to the sack than the title, which isn't great news. The man's got another baby on the way for Christ's sake. Despite so much money being spent, Chelsea's marquee rivals are severely underwhelmed. It doesn't mean they're flops or frauds or wastes of money, it just means they've had a rotten start to life at Stamford Bridge. Timo Werner and Kai Havertz have been so underwhelming, it's almost as if Lampard's on an inside job from the FA to nullify the Germans' best players ahead of the Euros. Ben Chilwell and Thiago Silva have both been decent I'd say, while Edouard Mendy's definitely an improvement on Kepa, although to be honest he could have put a dead snail in between the sticks and he'd had a better chance. Hakim Ziyech's had moments of class as well, but Chelsea's problem is they've just got far too many attacking options. Every week it's a lucky dip from Lampard, who hasn't got a clue what his best team is. Crystal Palace 6 out of 10. Crystal Palace's summer signings have been a bit of a mixed bag, but of course the standout arrival was Eberechi Eze, and the man has stepped up from the Championship with ease. He's a player you can't keep your eyes off, although that's not saying much at Palace when the other options are Scott Dann or Jordan Ayew. Michy Batshuayi's been disappointing though, which is kind of what you expect from a Palace striker. I mean the last time they had anyone kind of prolific was Ian Wright back in the 90s. As for the others, Nathaniel Clyne's been solid, while we're yet to see Nathan Ferguson who arrived from West Brom. Everton 9 out of 10. Everton's summer signings have impressed in patches, just not all at the same time, which has mainly been down to injury. At the start it was James Rodriguez stealing the show, looking like an absolute class above, which is what you'd expect from a World Cup Golden Boot winner who's gone from Real Madrid to sharing a dressing room with Cenk Tosun. I really like Allen in midfield, the man's like birth control the way he stops Everton's defence getting penetrated, while Abdoulaye Doucouré has been really good too. Even Ben Godfrey, who was a really expensive arrival from relegated Norwich, he's shone as well, maybe even more than the rest. It just goes to show you can do all the flicks and tricks in the world, but there's nothing like hard work to endear you to your new fans. Fulham 8.5 out of 10. At the time it looked like Fulham had done exactly what they did 2 years ago and basically just signed a new team, which eventually took them down. But at the halfway stage, it's clear that the only reason Fulham have got any kind of chance of survival is their summer signings. Ademola Lookman's come on so far since that horrendous penalty against West Ham, while Anthony Robson seems to be completely over the fact he could be top of Serie A with AC Milan right now. Fulham's summer business has been really impressive. It's just a shame they haven't got anyone who can score goals. That could be the difference between survival and relegation for them. Leeds United 7.5 out of 10. I gave Leeds a 7.5 out of 10 when the window closed, and that's exactly what I'm going to give them right now. The summer sides have been just solid throughout really, other than Diego Llorente, who's missed so much action with injury that Bielsa probably hasn't bothered to learn his name. Jack Harrison stepped up brilliantly, Robin Koch recovered after a slow start, Rodrigo's done alright, although he could be doing better, while Ilhan Meslier has been grand, although he is suspect of just wildly giving the ball away in his own box, which has proved problematic on occasions. But the star signing's been Rafinha. The Brazilian's fitting brilliantly at Ellen Road, and you just know fans would be loving him if they were actually allowed in the ground. Leicester City 9.5 out of 10. Leicester didn't do a lot of summer business, but all their signs have hit the mark, kind of. The only question mark is Cengiz Under, but it's not like he's been bad, he's just been on the bench. Whenever he plays he always seems to get himself an assist. But the two marquee arrivals were Timothy Castagne and Wesley Fofana, and both have been bloody brilliant. I mean, someone needs to check Fofana's passport. The fact he's such a complete defender at just 20 years old seems ludicrous. Castagne's been grand too, and versatile as well, covering for the injured Ricardo Pereira and the departed Ben Chilwell. Liverpool 8 out of 10. Tsimikas has barely played on account of Andy Robertson still being really good, but the other two signs have been excellent. Jota's probably been better than expected. I think we all just thought he'd keep the bench warm alongside Origi and Shaqiri, but he actually ended up being the new star of Liverpool's attack before he got his injury. As for Thiago, we just haven't seen enough of him. But whenever he does play, Christ, the bloke could pass his GCSEs with his eyes shut, that's how good his range is. Manchester City 8 out of 10. At the end of the summer transfer window, I wasn't sure if City had done enough to bridge the gap between themselves and Liverpool. Now it looks like they're the outright favourites for the title. Ruben Dias has been an absolute revelation at centre-back, justifying Pep Guardiola's decision to endlessly throw money at defenders as if it were a track and trace system. The only difference is that Pep didn't spend as much, and his defenders actually work. Ferran Torres looks like he's eventually going to be a star for City, and he did well as a makeshift striker, while they've also got Nathan Ake as well, who... I'm not really sure what he does. Does he put the cones out of training? Who knows? Either way, he's not playing, I'll tell you that for now. Man United 5.5 out of 10. Rating Man United's summer signings is quite hard, because on the one hand, they just haven't used Donny van de Beek, despite spending a fair bit of money on him. But on the other, free agent Edinson Cavani's been excellent, making all their other strikers look about as good as David Bellion or Federico Macheda. Man United also added Alex Telles, who's been decent too, so the good probably outweighs the bad, but only just 5.5 out of 10. Newcastle United 4.5 out of 10. Steve Bruce bought local this summer as if he was an advocate for Brexit, but other than Callum Wilson it's been a bit of a shambles. Ryan Fraser's barely been fit, the lad's had more injuries, hairdos and red cards combined than he's had appearances. Jeff Hendrick, I mean the less said about him the better, he'd be better served as a Pete Wick impersonator. And Jamal Lewis, he's never really recovered since Yves Bissouma hit him with a gnarly super kick that Shawn Michaels would have been proud of. But Callum Wilson's been great, proving that having a proper striker is actually quite important. Sorry Joe. Sheffield United 2 out of 10. Sheffield United's recruitment's been really poor, there's no other way of putting it. Aaron Ramsdale's nowhere near as good as Dean Henderson, while Ryan Brewster can barely get on the pitch. The only way you could justify it is if Chris Wilder was planning on getting relegated, as these players seem ready-made for the Championship. Well, all of them except for Oliver Burke. And no Ollie, that's not a compliment. Southampton 7 out of 10. Of all the summer signings, Southampton's are probably the most middle of the road. They've all been fairly decent, without going above and beyond, which is probably out of fear of being tapped up by Liverpool. It's been nice to see Theo Walcott back with the Saints though, especially when he went his absolute limits after scoring at the Emirates. You just know he never would have done that if the fans were there. The poor lad probably would have missed on purpose. Tottenham 6.5 out of 10. The good probably outweighs the bad at Tottenham, although I think we can all agree that as a collective, the signings have underwhelmed. I mean, at the minute Gareth Bale's return looks like a publicity stunt. They might as well just save themselves a few quid and got Mark Wright before he went to Crawley. Matt Doherty's been alright but not that good, but that's mainly down to Serge Aurier actually remembering the fundamentals of defending. On the positive though, I like Joe Rodon, Sergio Reguilón's been excellent, and while he is a shithouse, Mourinho must be absolutely buzzing with Højbjerg. I want a big shout out to Carlos Vinicius, who thundered home that epic hat-trick against... Marine. West Brom 4 out of 10. Okay, so West Brom basically just brought back all the loanees, and an ageing Branislav Ivanovic. They did also get Conor Gallagher from Chelsea on loan, who looks like a great player, a young man who'll probably never play for the Blues. He's probably in line to manage the Chelsea loanee WhatsApp group when Kennedy eventually gets released. Pereira's done alright too, to be fair to him, but in reality, West Brom just didn't do enough business in the first place to really make a fist of survival. Now they're just pinning all the hopes on big Sam Allardyce. West Ham 8 out of 10. Christ, I was wrong about the Hammers. I slammed their transfer business in the summer, but after 19 games we're only 2 points off the top 4. Kufal looks like a bit of a stupid business at right back, while I've been raving about Thomas Suchek so much for weeks that you're probably sick of hearing it. Hopefully there's more to come from Said Ben Rama, as he's a really exciting player, and as for Craig Dawson, well, at least he didn't kill Che Adams when he tried to kick his head off. Wolves 5 out of 10. At the time, Wolves' signings were a little bit middle of the road, a bit underwhelming. A few months on, and nothing's changed really. Marsal's alright, Semedo's done well, while I knew he's a really talented player for his age. But the others haven't really took off, particularly £35 million Fabio Silva, who looks more like he should be making videos about the Estonian 3rd Division for HITC 7s. So there we have it, that's every club's summer signings rated so far this season. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. As always, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to HITC Sport, and until next time we will see you around.